岡島さんは今何をおっしゃいておりますか。あなた遅いです。
Okay, our next movie, Begin Again. This movie was so popular that I had given myself plenty of time to go to the theater to find a good seat in the balcony. And when I got there, there was so many people that they were lined up inside the theater, out the door, and around the block just to get into this film. It took me approximately maybe 15 minutes to reach the ticket booth. And when the film ended, people were openly discussing the parts that they liked, how much they liked it, how much they enjoyed it, even talking to strangers about what a great film this was. And this was a fantastic movie. It is filled with, peace. There's two people, two main characters in this film, and they're both going through a really hard time. One woman was involved with her boyfriend who was into music, and he had landed a big contract with a major record producer, and so he went in and to sign the contract, and he brought his girl with him, and she's into music too, singer and composer and player, but not as much as him apparently. So he went in to sign the contract, and there's this Vietnamese girl who was part of the management team, and unknown to her, he hooked up with her because he liked her look, and he jumped into bed with her, and they were screwing around behind this girl's back. So eventually he decides to break up with her with the Vietnamese, so he lets her know by writing, producing a song talking about the breakup, and presents it to her over dinner. And she was just upset to no end, and it completely destroyed her. And fortunately for her, she found a friend who was from the same part of England that she was from, and he was living nearby, and he helped her out, helped her through the bad time of the breakup, the betrayal. And unknown to her, there was this music producer who was on the way down because alcohol was getting involved. He had to deal with a divorce and a estranged daughter, a teenage daughter, and he didn't like the way she dressed, and he was worried about that and all the problems of life. And so he just couldn't do his job anymore, so he actually got kicked out of the music studio that he had started. So he's become a raging alcoholic, and he's out there drinking. And he comes into a bar where this girl who aforementioned takes advice from her friend and goes into the bar to do a music routine, and he's sitting in the audience, and he's mostly drunk, but he hears her singing, and he turns around, and this magnificent part of the movie where she's singing and playing guitar, but yet he has this ability to add musical instruments, and you can hear the musical instruments, you can see the instruments playing, but no players playing them in her background, as he's looking at her, and he's adding these instruments one at a time. It's a magnificent piece of film. The way this was done is so perfect. You should just go see this movie just for this. But the film is just basically the comeback of two people who were damaged by relationships and just finding each other when they, at a time that they needed each other, and getting music together. Of course, he doesn't get any support to turn her music into an album, so he decides that why don't they just play out in the various avenues and streets in New York and form their music and record that way, and it was a major success. Now, as for the girl's boyfriend, he comes back at the end of the film because he realizes, as the down and out record producer had mentioned to this woman that this boyfriend is he's up there and he's never going to find a happy relationship because they're so not genuine and so unreal. You know, it's kind of like the Elvis Presley syndrome. He could never be with a girl or long lasting because she was so fixated on his fame that she saw nothing else. She didn't see the real him. So that's what happened to this girl's boyfriend, and eventually he realized that this original girl that he was with was the best thing for him, and he tries to win her back, and it's done so beautifully well in this movie. She doesn't take him back, of course, but it turns into her revenge that she was, after all, important to him and not throwaway trash, as she had surmised. Very much recommend this movie. This is extremely popular. It's beautifully made.